Given orientation and position, I have joined the audio because I see the symbol. I'm connected. Okay, my online students, can you hear me? Okay. All right. So position, find joint variables. And you can have one unique solution, you can have multiple solutions, or you can have no solution. Sometimes you can have a solution, but because of the configuration or the dimension of that robot, that solution cannot be realized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the same problem that we started with. Think about, but now I will first draw the kinematic diagram. So I have a robot with two revolute joints, and this robot looks something like this. So this is my 0th frame, this is my first frame, this is my second frame. Wow, Zoom is working good, I'm happy. Frame 0, frame 1, frame 2. The joint variables are theta 1 and theta 2. Now, if you were to look from top, this robot arm would look something like this. I'm going to call this distance L1. I'm going to call this distance L2. So this distance is going to be L1. This distance is going to be L2. And as you know, this is going to be Z0, this is going to be Z1, this is going to be Z2. We have solved this problem so many times that I'm just going to go ahead and write down the homogeneous transformation matrix. Is that okay with everyone? So first homogeneous transformation matrix is 0, H1. That homogeneous transformation matrix is going to look like cosine theta 1 minus sine theta 1, sine theta 1, cosine theta 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. And for the sake of completion, I would give you these distances, A1 and this is A2. So this is going to look like L1 cosine theta 1, L1 sine theta 1, A1, and then there will be 1 over here. Now 1H2 is going to be cosine theta 2 minus sine theta 2, sine theta 2, cosine theta 2, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, L2 cosine theta 2, L2 sine theta 2, A2, and 0. So if I want to find out 0, H2, I will have to do 0, H1 multiplied by 1, H2. So you have to multiply these 4 by 4 matrices. And I'm gonna give you the multiplication. You can use MATLAB. And then once you do this in MATLAB, you will get this huge matrix. So I'm gonna use the second page, 0H2. And this huge matrix is gonna look like cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2 minus sine of theta 1 plus theta 2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2 cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. And the last column is going to look like L2 cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L1 cosine of theta 1, L2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L1 sine theta 1, and this is going to look like A1 plus A2, and this is going to be 0. Oh, 1. Yeah, 1. That's correct. 1. So this is how that matrix is going to look like. And some of you may not believe me. That's okay. You don't have to believe me. So let's try to interpret this from the explanation of a planar robot. And that would make sense in just a second. So imagine that you are looking at this robot from top. So this angle is theta 1. This angle is theta 2. So what that means is the horizontal distance, this distance, please observe, if I were to draw a horizontal line here, this is theta 1. So the horizontal distance is L1 cosine of theta 1 plus L2 cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2. Do you agree with me? That is what is over here. The vertical distance, looking at the intercepts, they are going to be L1 sine of theta 1 plus L2 sine of theta 1 plus theta 2. Do you agree with me? That is what is over here. And since it's a planar robot, I have shown you the planar case, the z distance is A1 plus A2. Everyone understood this? Now, the inverse kinematics problem is something like this. I would give you an end effector orientation and position. So essentially, I'm gonna give you 0H2. I will give you fully populated 0H2 matrix. If I don't give you 0H2 matrix, I will give you enough information so that you can compute 0H2. Example, I would say this distance, which I'm going to call Px, and I'm going to call this distance Py. Please note, Pz is not going to change. In Z orientation, Z distance is not going to change because A1 is fixed, A2 is fixed. It's not going to change. So what I can do is, the workspace of this robot is sort of a cylinder. So what I can do is, I can just give you the values of theta 1 and theta 2, or I can give you Px and Py, and I would give you the maybe the final orientation of the robot with respect to the coordinate frame. So let me tell you what that means. So problem statement would be something like this: end effector has, depending upon how you measure, say some role, say some, basically some role, some pitch, and some yaw. So the end effector has certain roll angle, certain pitch angle, and certain yaw angle. Since this is a planar robot, clearly the end effector is not going to pitch, it's not going to roll, it's only going to yaw. So for this particular case, your roll angle will be 0, your pitch angle would be 0, and you would be given some non-zero yaw angle. But that yaw angle is with respect to the base frame, with respect to your 0 axis. So which is this guy. And Px is equal to say 5 units, and Py is equal to say 10 units. So the problem statement would look like you would be given some angle. In this particular robot, I would say the roll angle is 0. For this particular robot, the pitch angle is 0, and maybe it has some 100 degrees yaw angle. And value of Px is given, Py is given. Please note Pz will always be A1 plus A2. Do you agree with me? So given these, we want to find out what is the value of theta 1 and theta 2. So given this, what is the value of theta 1 and theta 2? Yes.
So what is pitch, yaw, and roll?
Okay.
Last time we were confused.
Yeah. So last time I made a mistake in northeast down coordinate system, but I realized. So I'll show you what do I mean by pitch, roll, and yaw. So this is the aircraft. This is pitch. So this is pitch. This is roll. So basically, this is roll. And this is yaw. So for the aircraft, what we do is we always use north, east, and down. So basically, this is X, this is Y. Okay, this is a mistake that I made last time, but I want to make that clear. So for aircraft, always whenever we draw right hand coordinate system, X, Y, and Z. For the aircraft, usually if you have an aircraft like this, the north is always up front. So basically the aircraft is always going to have north. So your thumb is going to be in the north direction. So north, then east is going to be this. So Y. And this is going to be Z. So now check this out. You have X, Y, and Z. So the rotation about Y, if you see about the wing, is given as the pitch. Rotation about X is roll. Rotation about Z is yaw. So this is pitch, and this is roll. So north, east, and down. North is your x-axis, east is your y-axis, and down is your z-axis. So roll, pitch, and yaw. Everyone understood this? Imagine that you have an end effector. You can also assume the same coordinate frame, roll, pitch, and north, east, down, or for that matter, x, y, and z. And then you can define roll, pitch, and yaw. Okay. So any other question? So here is the key problem. We are given roll, pitch, and yaw, and these are also called as inertial angles. And from these roll, pitch, and yaw, these are also called as Euler angles. From these Euler angles, I need to extract this 3/3 rotation matrix. So this rotation matrix I need to extract. So this is 0 R2. This rotation matrix needs to be extracted from this Euler angle. So for that, we have a MATLAB command, Euler to route. So that you can use that command, and once you specify the roll, pitch, and yaw, and the type of Euler angle that you are using, it will give you the rotation matrix. So what I'm trying to say here is, you know the roll, you know the pitch, you know the yaw. So what it means is, once you substitute these Euler to mat, Euler to rod, you are gonna get a numerical value here. So this value may look like something like 0. I'm just guessing 0.5. This will look like 0.5. This will look like minus some value 0. For the sake of discussion, 0.5, and this will look like, say, 0.5. So you are gonna get some numerical value, but from that numerical value, you need to find out the values of theta 1 and theta 2. So you are given 0.5 or you are given 0.25. What you need to do is, from that numerical value, you have to find out the value of theta 1 and theta 2. And please understand, this is not a straightforward problem, because some of you may say, hey, I know the value of cosine theta 1 plus theta 2. I know the value of sine theta 1 plus theta 2. Let me divide, say 0.5 divided by 0.5. I got 1. And maybe just do tan inverse or invert, and then use some trigonometric relationship to find out the value. But please understand, even if you do that, that will give you the value of the sum of angles, theta 1 and theta 2. It will not give you the individual values of theta 1 and theta 2. Everyone understood this? Inverse kinematics problem is, you are given the end effector orientation and end effector position. From that, you have to find out individual joint angles. In this problem, purely based on the rotation matrix, you cannot find out the values of theta 1 and theta 2. So how do we solve this problem? Now, there are two ways to solve this problem, and I will tell you the tricks. So these two tricks will most likely be used. I want you to understand that in this entire equation, you know the matrix in the numerical form, but L1 and L2, these distances are physical link lengths that are given to you. So the robot length, L1 is known, L2 is known, then A1 is known, and A2 is known. Everyone understood this? Now the problem is, if A1 is known, if A2 is known, if L1 is known, if L2 is known, how do I find out the value of theta 1 and theta 2? So how do I find out the individual values of theta 1 and theta 2? What mathematical jugglery that you can perform to find out the values of theta 1 and theta 2? Huh?
You use law of sine with cosine.
You can use laws of sine, cosine. Tell me which law to use. Yeah.
First, we can find the value of theta 1 plus theta 2 combined, and then place the value in the yellow one
Right.
equation, and then we can get theta 1.
Okay. So that is one trick that we can use. But let me tell you what broadly sort of generalize this trick. So you have a number here. So let me say that you have a number here, say 0.5. I would multiply that number by the magnitude of L2. So basically say L2 is 1 meter. So I would multiply L2 by 0.5 and then subtract that quantity from the first row, fourth column. Do you agree with me? In other words, when I do that, I would have a value for L1 cosine theta 1 is equal to something. And from there, I can find out the value of theta 1. But here is an issue. Please understand that it's a transcendental equation. And basically, you have multiple solutions. So how do we find out the multiple solutions of this problem? So for this problem, let me repeat the trick. The trick here is get the value in the first row, first column, which is the value here. Multiply that by the constant, which is L1, and then subtract that from the quantity what is over here. And then that would give you L1 cosine theta 1 is equal to a number, and from there you can find out the value of theta 1, and then you can find out the value of theta 1 plus theta 2. But more general way of solving this problem is something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this matrix into form something like Px, Py, Pz, 1, and you are going to have a rotation matrix here. So 0 R 2, and that guy will be something like L2 cosine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L1 cosine theta 1, L2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L1 sine theta 1, and here A1 plus A2, this is 1, this is 0 or 2. So please note, this guy is known or given, and we have this is unknown, or find theta 1 and theta 2. Oh, Zoom is working very nice today. I'm happy. Yeah. So I'm gonna exactly show what I want to do. So Px is known, Py is known. So I'm gonna write it down like this. This is a most general trick and usually will work 90% of the times. So Px is equal to L2 cosine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L1 cosine theta 1 Py is equal to L2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L2 sine theta 1. Remember this relationship. Cosine square theta 1 plus theta 2 plus sine square theta 1 plus theta 2 is equal to 1, or cosine, I'll just write this, cosine square theta 1 plus cosine square sine square theta 1 is equal to 1. Always remember this. Whenever you have a problem like this, we want to eliminate the composite angles. So what I need to do is, this is the trick. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do Px minus L1 cosine theta 1 Py minus, so this is L1 sine theta 1, and on the right hand side I'm going to have L2 cosine theta 1 plus theta 2 L2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2. Do you agree with me? I'm going to square and I'm going to add. So I'm going to square both sides and I'm going to add. Why am I doing this? So that I can eliminate the trigonometric quantities on the right hand side of the equation. So this equation is going to become Px minus L1 cosine theta 1 square plus Py minus L1 sine theta 1 square. Please note, L2 square can be taken common outside. Cosine square theta 1 plus theta 2 plus sine square theta 1 plus theta 2 will become 1. Do you agree with me? Any questions here? Now, what has happened? As you can see that this entire equation, which was initially in the two variables, theta 1 and theta 2, is now represented only in one variable. But you may say, okay, what now? So we expand. Once again, before we expand, for the sake of discussion, please note Px is known, L1 is known, Py is known, and L2 is known. Everyone understood what are the knowns here? The only unknowns are theta 1, only unknown is cosine theta 1 and sine theta 1. So I'm going to expand. So this becomes Px Py minus Px L1 sine, oh, I made a mistake. So let me expand this. So Px square minus 2 Px L1 cosine theta 1 plus L1 square cosine square theta 1 plus Py square minus 2 Py L1 sine theta 1 plus L1 square sine square theta 1 is equal to L2 square. Do you agree with me? Here, Px square is completely known, so it's a constant. This guy, this whole thing is completely known. Now, please observe, this is L1 square cosine square theta. This is L1 square sine square theta. So these two quantities can be combined. And finally, you would just get the value of L1 square. This Py square is completely known. This guy is completely known. Do you agree with me? I want you to think about this problem for a second. So this problem is going to look like something like this. All said and done, you are gonna have, if you think about it, let me give you the most general form of the equation. That most general form of the equation is gonna look like a constant cosine theta 1 plus another constant b1 sine theta 1 plus is equal to another constant c1, and a1 b1 c1 a1, so a1 b1 c1 are constants. They could be positive or negative. So at the end, that big problem gets resolved into solving this equation, which is a1 cosine theta 1 plus b1 sine theta 1 is equal to c1. In certain cases, c1 could be 0. If c1 is 0, then the problem becomes very simple. What you can do is you can take one quantity on the other side and you can use an arctan function. So you can use a tan 2 to find out the value of theta 1. Everyone understood? So for the sake of discussion, just imagine your c1 is 0. So you are left with equation a1 cosine theta 1 is equal to minus b1 sine theta 1, and you can actually find out the ratio, take the tan inverse. But when you take the tan inverse, pure tan inverse gives you the solution in the first quadrant, but the robot can have angles in 360 degrees. So we have to use arctan so that we know the angle in 4 quadrants. So use a tan 2 and you can find out the angle. But most likely you will not have c1 is equal to 0. So what we do is we use half angle formula. So sine theta 1 is equal to 2 tan theta 1 by 2 divided by 1 plus tan square theta 1 by 2. Cosine theta 1 is equal to 1 minus tan square theta 1 by 2 divided by 1 plus tan square theta 1 by 2. Now you may say, hey, this equation is becoming even more complex, but this substitution simplifies the equation substantially, because check this out. Our equation is a1 cosine theta 1 plus b1 sine theta 1 is equal to c1. Here a1 is known, b1 is known, c1 is known. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these substitutions. a1 1 minus tan square theta 1 by 2 divided by 1 plus tan square theta 1 by 2 plus b1 2 tan theta 1 by 2 divided by 1 plus tan square theta 1 by 2 is equal to c1. So I'm going to take the numerator. I'm going to keep the numerator as is, but I'm going to take the denominator of the equation on the right hand side. So now I have an equation a1 1 minus tan square theta 1 by 2 plus 2 tan theta 1 by 2 times b1 is equal to c1 1 plus tan square theta 1 by 2. Are you with me so far? So now what has happened? If I substitute tan theta 1 by 2, if I substitute tan theta 1 by 2 is equal to u, if I substitute tan theta 1 by 2 as u, this equation becomes a quadratic equation, a u square plus b u plus c is equal to 0. Are you with me so far? And you can find out the two roots. So so you can find out the two roots of this equation, value of u1 and u2. So you can find out the value of u11 and u12, and then you can find out theta 1 by 2 is equal to tan inverse of u11 and theta 1. So I'm going to call this 11. 12 by 2 is equal to tan inverse of u12. Everyone understood this? Now we got two values of theta 1, which is we got theta 1 and theta 1 2. Now what we should do is, once we found out the values of theta 1 and theta 1 2, we have to use the constraint equation. Please note, we already know, and there are multiple ways you can find that out. So before I proceed any further, at this point, everyone understood this trigonometric substitution and simplification that gives you the two values of theta, theta 1 and theta 1 2. Next step is go back to this equation, and in this equation substitute value of L1 cosine theta 1 that you already found out, and find out the value of cosine theta 1 plus theta 2, do a cosine inverse and find out the value of theta 2 1 and theta 2 2. Alternatively, you can go back to this equation, or you can go to this equation, and from the value of theta 1, you can find out the value of theta 2. But please understand, there are two values of theta 1, theta 1 and theta 1 2, and you are going to have two values of theta 2, one corresponding to theta 1 and one corresponding to theta 1 2. Now you may ask me, what does that mean? That means is, I want you to look at this robot. Say if I give you, this is the first joint of the robot, and I give you a position here. This position can be achieved by two configurations. So this position can be achieved by something like this, theta 1 and theta 2, or this position can be achieved by this configuration, wherein this is theta 1 and this is theta 2. So this is going to be theta 1 theta 1 2. This will be theta 2 1 this will be theta 2, 2. So some positions you will have two solutions. Now I want you to think about a completely extended robot. So you can have a completely extended robot, and then you will have just two angles depending upon how you measure those. Imagine a case when the robot is folded onto itself. So even though that is a very feasible solution, so think about like this. You have the robot, and this robot, this is the first link, and the second link is folded onto itself. If the robot is purely a planar robot in one plane, that position is not possible. If you have a spatial robot, if there is some difference between the joints, then the robot can fold onto itself. Many a times, imagine you have an end effector that is going to hit the joint or hit the first joint or the second joint as it folds. So at the end, once you find the solution, before you implement the controller algorithm or before you move the robot, you want to make sure that the position that you calculated is indeed reachable and is not affecting any other functionality of the robot. This is a classic inverse kinematics problem. Everyone understood this? There is another way of solving this problem, and for that we looked at the analytical solution. You can actually solve this problem numerically. So if you have a very complex equation, then you can use some sort of numerical algorithms. But before we go there, I just want to take one more case of the same robot problem. Imagine, okay, everyone understood this two-dimensional robot, how to find theta 1, theta 2. Now let me make this robot a little bit complicated. Let me add one more joint. So now case is, you have the first revolute joint, you have the second revolute joint, and you have the third revolute joint. So you have R1, R2, R3, and finally you have an end effector. Now the problem is, again, you will start with your sign convention. And then formulate 0. So this is your 0th frame. This is your first frame, second frame. This is the end effector frame 3. And you will find 0H3. And probably by now, you might have noticed the pattern. So if this distance is L1, this L2, this L3, can someone tell me the final homogeneous transformation matrix? This is going to be cosine, correct? Theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3 minus sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3. Same thing here, sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3, cosine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. And here you are gonna get some numbers. I mean, you will get an expression here, you'll get an expression here, you will get an expression here, and I will write it down in just a second. If this is A1, A2, A3, here it's gonna be A1 plus A2 plus A3. And I'm gonna write the expression for Px and Py separately. So, and probably now by now, you know how that expression is gonna look like. The expression is gonna look like Px is equal to L1 cosine theta 1 plus L2 cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L3 cosine theta 1 plus theta 2. Let me write this. Theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3. Py L1 sine theta 1 plus L2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus L3 sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3. Zoom is really good today. It did not crash just once. That's good. Now, do you agree with me? In principle, this problem is similar to the problem that we solved earlier, except for the fact that we got this additional term over here. Do you agree with me? So somehow, if I can eliminate that term from this equation, that this problem is going to simplify exactly the same way as the previous problem. You agree with me? At the same time, I would like to draw your attention to the homogeneous transformation matrix, specifically the rotation part of the homogeneous transformation matrix. Here, the problem will again be given to you as some value of Px will be known, some value of Py will be known, Pz is going to be a constant, and the final orientation of the end effector will be given to you. So maybe it will give you the rotation values, rotation matrices, or it will give you the roll pitch and yaw. Similar to the previous problem, in this case, roll and pitch, they are going to be 0, and you are going to get a yaw angle, which would be summation of theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. What I'm trying to say here is just like the previous problem, here, say this value will be known. So 0.5, 0.5. I'm just writing here 0 minus 0.75 and maybe 0.75. So you have these values. So what you would do is, look here, you have cosine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3, right? This value can be grabbed from here. L1, L2, and L3 are known. L1 is given, L2 is given, and L3 is given. You agree with me? L1 is given to you, L2 is given to you, L3 is given to you. So what you will do is, you will look at the orientation values. You will find out the rotation matrix and take first row, first column of the rotation matrix, multiply that by the length L3 and subtract it from this expression. Everyone understood this? So as soon as you subtract that, your equation is going to look like Px bar is equal to L1 cosine theta 1 plus L2 cosine theta 1 plus theta 2. Then again, you are going to go back and then you are going to grab the value of sine theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3 from this expression, plug that in here, then this entire quantity will be known, subtract it, and you will get Py bar is equal to L1 sine theta 1 plus L2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2. You agree with me? Px bar and Py bar are different from Px and Py. So initially Px is known. L3 cosine theta 1 plus theta 2 theta 3 we calculated and we subtracted that from Px, that gave us Px bar. Sine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3 we got from the rotation matrix, multiplied that by L3 and subtracted that quantity from Py, that gave me Py bar. Yes.
So px bar equals px minus L2 cosine of.
Correct. Yeah. Px bar is equal to Px minus L3 cosine of theta 1, theta 2, theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3. That's what I'm trying to say here.
How do we get that cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3?
From this
Just
matrix. This matrix.
Yeah, like, but how do we get the values of the matrix?
Okay. So for an example, there are two ways. So inverse kinematics problem means the orientation and the position is given. What do I mean by orientation given? Either they will give you the rotation matrix, 3 by 3 rotation matrix with numbers. So you are going to get a matrix with numbers, or they will give you roll, pitch, and yaw angles. So once you have roll, pitch, and yaw angles for the end effector, you would use a MATLAB command, Euler to MAT, EUR, EULAR to MAT, or EUR, EULAR to ROT, sorry, not MAT, ROT. In the parentheses, roll, pitch, yaw, and then you will supply what Euler coordinate system that you want to use. There are 12 coordinate systems. Typically, there is a standard coordinate system for robotics, and that is the default MATLAB computation coordinate system. Then from those Euler angles, it will give you a 3 by 3 rotation matrix.
So we don't need to know how to calculate this rotation matrix from the.
So there is a nice equation that gives you the rotation matrix in terms of Euler angles. So basically, you substitute the Euler angles, their cosine, sines, and everything, and then you will get this 3 by 3 rotation matrix. That's it.
Also, why didn't we do this for the previous solution?
We did something similar to the previous. Actually,
pH bar is equal to L1 cos theta. Direct.
correct. Last problem was actually you could do something similar to this and it would become simple. But I wanted to give you a general technique that can be used for multiple problems. So what that means, my hope is, if I were to add one more degree of freedom, you know what to do. So basically, you look at the part of the homogeneous transformation, get rid of the final degree of freedom equation, and then at the end, all said and done, this is the key trick. Please remember this, all said and done, finally express the equation either in just theta 1, cosine theta 1, sine theta 1. So this expression should be in this form. And then you can solve it. Everyone understood this? That is a numerical, this is the analytical way of solving the problem. The numerical way of solving the problem is assuming you have taken EGR 219 here, or you have some familiarity with MATLAB. MATLAB can find out the solution of the inverse kinematics problem by some sort of a shooting technique, some sort of trial and error technique. But the way the trials are carried out, if they are carried out in a smart way, so we will do that problem a little bit later, but I want to solve one more inverse kinematics problem real quick. Any questions in this problem? So now let me give you the hint on your robot arm. So in your assignment 3, the first part of the problem is you have to find out, you have to actually build that robot, cardboard robot or acrylic robot, and then solve the forward kinematics problem. For that, you will have to do, or you have to draw the coordinate or kinematic diagram. So can someone tell me how would the kinematic diagram for that robot looks like? So you have a revolute joint at the bottom. Then you have another revolute joint that is perpendicular to the R. So this is something like this, right? And then what else do you have? You have one more revolute joint. So this is something like, let me see. We can draw it like this. And then you have one more revolute joint, right? This is the end effector. So you have R, you have R, and you have R. And then you have an end effector. So always remember, whenever you have, for forward kinematics, it's not a problem. You can go from the 0th frame, then go all the way to the end and solve the problem. But if you have an inverse kinematics problem, always split that into a manipulator and into a wrist. So for an example, this is going to be theta 1, this is going to be theta 2, this is going to be theta 3. This will be your manipulator. Everyone understood this? So theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3, you would make a statement. So inverse kinematics problem can be solved multiple ways. So what you would say is theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3 along with these distances. And I don't remember what they are, but I'm just going to call them L1, L2, L3. These distances are responsible for the end effector position. And the joints which are afterwards, they are responsible for orientation. Otherwise, you will not get a very clean solution. I mean, there are techniques to solve by splitting the joints and all. But if you want a reasonable solution in a reasonable amount of time, then I would recommend just construct the problem something like this. So your homogeneous transformation would consist of theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 that you can iteratively solve and find out the values of theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. And the orientation problem can be solved by looking at, now this is very important. So, and this is an important problem. How would you solve the orientation problem using this information given to you? Imagine, let me take a general case that, let me write this down. So this is the 0th frame, because that is very important. This is the first frame, the second frame, and say you have this third frame. So you got this third frame. So maybe I'm just gonna say this is something like this. And you would find out, this is very important, 0H3. And once you solve 0H3, you're gonna have a rotation matrix, which is 0R3. You're gonna have 1 over here, and you're gonna have P X 0 to 3 P Y 0 to 3 and P Z 0 to 3. Everyone understood this? So looking at the mathematical jugglery that we did over in the previous few slides, you can find out at the end from here, you can find theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3. Now these thetas, and let me specify very clearly, these thetas are going to give you the desired end effector position. Everyone understood this? These thetas are going to give you the desired end effector position. However, the problem is finding the position and orientation. So how would we solve the orientation problem? And I don't remember the exact configuration of your wrist, but let me, for the sake of discussion, show you that the wrist is maybe something like this. So maybe the wrist is something like this. You have a revolute joint, which is actually composing of the wrist. So this is going to be, and maybe this, I'm going to say that this is my final coordinate system. And bear with me, I'm not following the 4 rules, but what I'm trying to say here is this is my 0th frame, this is my first frame, this is my second frame, this is my third frame, and this is my 4th frame. Everyone understood? There are 4 frames. For solving inverse kinematics problem, I split the robot and considered theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. But I still have one more joint for wrist. Maybe one more or 2 more or 3 more. I don't know, whatever joints they are. So what I'm going to do is, this is super important. I'm going to write the forward kinematics equation for this entire robot that you already know, that you already found out. So think about it like this: 0 H4 is equal to 0 H3 3 H4. Do you agree with me? In this, I know the values of theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3. I know the values of theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3. In other words, this guy is known. Do you agree with me? I can, at this point, I can invert this matrix. And this is a homogeneous transformation. It's a unitary matrix. So inverse is equal to transpose. But if you want, you can inverse this. So you are going to get 0 H3 inverse 0 H4 is equal to 3 H4. Do you agree with me? And 3H4, this matrix. Now I want you to just for a minute for thought exercise. How many angles are there? 4. So do you agree with me that finally, all said and done, 0H4, all said and done, 0H4 should include 4 angles: theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 and theta 4. Do you agree with me? Out of that, I found out theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3, assuming that those angles theta 1, theta 2 and theta 3 are purely responsible for the end effector position. Do you agree with me? But theta 4 is still there, and that theta 4 is actually hiding in here. But from this equation, there is only one angle, theta 1, theta 4, that you can use the same mathematical jugglery that we did and find out that angle theta 4. Everyone understood this? Yeah, once again, I'll repeat. I know. This is exactly how they solve spherical risk. Let me repeat this problem. And that's why I gave you that cardboard problem. So in that cardboard problem, you have, I think you have the wrist. Last wrist is perpendicular. It's like, okay, then there is no wrist. Don't worry about it. It's just a jaw. So imagine that you have a wrist. Now we are splitting the robot into a manipulator and maybe a wrist. Manipulator comprises of first three joints. Those three joints and those joint angles are responsible for the end effector position. And everything else after that is responsible for the end effector orientation. So what that means is I would first find out the forward kinematics 0h4. Can everyone find 0h4? Okay. Now in that 0h4 is given, and I'm going to give you some position values and I'm going to give you some orientation of the end effector. So you can solve 0h3. You can solve 0h3 and get the values of theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 based on px, py, and pz. Everyone understood this? Now the last problem is, how do we get value of theta 4? And to find theta 4, what you need to do is you need to split the final homogeneous transformation matrix into 0h3 and 3h4. 0h3 is completely known because we found out theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. Do you agree with me? 0h3 can only contain theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. It cannot contain theta 4. Do you agree with me? So what we know is, once we find out that answer, then we can actually invert 0h3 that we found out and multiply that by 0h4, which should be known, and then find out 3h4 and find out the value of theta 4. It's slightly convoluted, but I will work out a problem and I will show you that how this problem can be solved. There is another problem that happens is, imagine we talked about the spherical wrist problem. So instead of one revolute joint, there are three revolute joints. So you have R, perpendicular to R, perpendicular to R. So now the problem is, how do you find? So can you see now this will have 6 thetas: theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, theta 5, and theta 6. Theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3, just like this robot shown over here. Theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3 will be determined from the position of the end effector, and theta 4, theta 5, and theta 6 will be determined from the orientation of the end effector. Conceptually, I think you understand this, but I need to work out an actual problem so that I can walk you through the procedure of finding out those values. But at least with the material that I have discussed so far, I don't think you would have any problem in solving assignment 3. So you should be able to do the forward kinematics and you should be able to do the inverse kinematics. Yes.
Will we use the same method when we're doing it in MATLAB, or this is just for hand calculations to make it easier for us?
So there are actually I haven't shown you how to use the MATLAB robotics toolbox. It works totally differently. At least for first few problems, what I would suggest is you do the hand calculations, find the equations, and then use MATLAB to find the values. But later, what you can do is, rather than doing the mathematical jugglery yourself, you can use MATLAB to solve that equation. As you can see, this is not the most efficient way of solving the equation. If you have a robot arm which is super duper complex, this technique may or may not work. because you need to know what trigonometric substitution you should be looking at for simplification. Otherwise, you will go down the rabbit hole. I mean, you will make a substitution, equation will become more complex. It will become more complex. It will become more complex. Finally, never reaching the solution. So what we will do is, once your assignment homework 3 is done, you've worked out some inverse kinematics problems. I will show you how these problems can be solved using MATLAB. I think assignment number 4 has some inverse kinematics problems too, right? So I want you to work out some inverse kinematics problem, and then I will show you how would you solve this problem using MATLAB. So I'm gonna stop here. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Can we use Laplace transformation